Hey, what's going on? Appreciate you for checking out another episode of Chomping at the Bit. Uh, this one, I want to talk about the Patriots as they finished up OTAs. Uh, previous videos have been talking about the Celtics. I'll get back to them probably when the finals end and we get into the off season. But I feel like it's a good time to talk Patriots because the OTAs have brought about, I feel like, some feelings for me going into the season or some takeaways, I guess. One, Drake May, I guess, had a kind of an up and down OTA session, I guess we'll call it. But he did have his best day when a certain offseason addition arrived in Stefon Diggs, which I'll get to in a little bit. But I saw some people kind of freak out about Drake May inaccuracies or the interceptions and all that. I would say pump the brakes on that because it's OTAs. Like, he is learning a new offense. You got to give him that. And also, I feel like the fact that he may have been throwing interceptions or whatever probably speaks to the potential of this defense. So I don't necessarily, I know a lot of people love the reports on which quarterback did this stat wise. It's like 7-on-7 drills. Like, let's be real. Two, I guess it's good to hear that Efton Chisholm is like creating a name for himself. I guess that's good and bad. The bad could be, what does that mean for, I would say, the wide receiver group as a whole, even though I know Patriots fans are not necessarily all in with this group anyway. But I continue to say last season was so bad offensively, I don't know how to judge anybody off of last year. So the Jalen Pokes, Pop Douglas, Javon Baker, all those guys, I can't kill them for what happened last year. So this is like a clean slate. It should be for us Patriots fans when looking at the offensive weapons. But if Efton Chisholm does carve out a role in Josh McDaniels' offense, that probably is going to come at the expense of somebody, whether it is Baker or maybe like a Kendrick Bourne, because I feel like Kendrick Bourne, could be a guy that, what if maybe he loses his job because, let's say, Stefon Diggs is ready week one, or Efton Chisholm, is to the point where you just can't leave him off the roster because he just fits McDaniel's offense like a glove. Like, I don't know the necessary numbers on the wide receiver group, but not carrying all of them. I can say that safely. I would also seem like Baker's the one on the chopping block, depending on how he performs and the guys who are up above him. I think Polk will be safe because he was drafted last year with the mess that last year was. Although, look, Vrabel has shown that he doesn't have allegiance to any of these guys, and that doesn't mean he's going to keep them because they may be new. So Polk could play himself out of a spot, but I think he'll have one. And speaking of Polk, which I guess speaks to the Diggs part, I did like seeing Diggs working with Polk, like off to the side on like back shoulder throws, having strong hands when corners are sticking their arm in there trying to rip it away. Polk, I feel like that could be a way that he makes himself, a significant piece on this offense. I'm not giving up on Jalen Polk. I know, like I said, Patriots fans have kind of tossed him aside. So I'm encouraged to see what he's able to do in McDaniel's offense. I think I've heard like what Ramondre Stevenson, running backs will be a big part. That's good to hear as well. I think apparently what Hunter Henry has established himself as Drake May's go-to guy, which we kind of knew that. That's what he was last year. That's not a bad thing. I don't hate that. I feel like for every young quarterback, you should have a tight end that's kind of a security blanket. And Hunter Henry has been a pretty good Patriot so far. So, like I said, I don't hate hearing that. I think the defense, hearing And a lot of the reporting is talking about how Keon White is like strictly a pass rushing edge. I kind of like that. I think with his physical ability, if he just harnesses his ability on the edge, I think he could be in for a disruptive year, which I think that's going to be kind of the mindset with this defense going into the season: disruption and aggression. The only way you can achieve that, having guys who can get after the quarterback. I think Keon White can do that on the outside. I think, we've seen Barmore, who has returned from his blood clots and everything. If he stays healthy, he's a guy who can create pressure up the middle. The other side, you have Harold Landry, who'll be kind of on that side, which I think they're saying like he's going to probably be an early down pass rusher, like first, second down, with Chason maybe being a third down specialist. You got Swinson, who they drafted, who's a guy who can get after the quarterback. Like, I really cannot wait to see the game plan week in and week out with this team. Because even with OTAs and stuff, there was a video. This might be from last week though, where they were like ending a practice. The players huddled up, and I think it was Brendan Schooler saw like Vrabel trying to walk away and get out of it, and Schooler dragged him back into the huddle. Like, this team seems like they are locked in with Vrabel. I think Vrabel's going to be the right guy for this team. But, I can get into more of that as we get closer to the season, get into predictions and all that kind of stuff. But the Stefon Diggs part. So Stefon Diggs, we know, not the best look with the video that came out, the pink substance, with the women and everything like that. And the report is he was told to stay away from OTAs the past couple of days or whatever when the video surfaced. The fact that he was out there on Monday kind of lets me know of a couple of things. Like, one, because he was out there practice running some drills, he must have passed the physical, which means the knee is healthy. That's a good thing. Two, when you're watching some of the videos and the reports, like, you see Diggs out there changing direction, cutting, and all that. Good to see. That also speaks to the knee being healthy. Didn't see a knee brace either, which means Diggs is very confident in that repaired knee and how it will hold up. Those are all good things. Now, obviously, the video with Diggs' kind of position on this team, where Diggs is going to be looked at as a leader on the offensive side of the ball, especially with this wide receiver group being so inexperienced and young. Now, obviously, that's not all on Diggs. I got to say, Mac Hollins as well will be a leader. I think Kendrick Bourne, once again, if he's here, a leader as well. But, Diggs, like I said, doing the work with Jalen Polk, also encouraging to see, Diggs really taking to heart what he said when he first signed, like he wants to be a leader, bringing up the young guys. You love to see all that kind of stuff. Now, the stuff with the video and everything, he's going to have to make better decisions. But it's also the off season, May. He's doing his own thing. I'm going to assume that's not going to be a problem during the season. So everything I saw from Diggs, optimism elevates. If you haven't seen it, like, go check out, his work on the field. Like, he, came as well, what's the saying? I don't know. I'm just trying to say, like, for everything that you think Diggs is as a football player, you kind of saw glimpses of it with his on the field stuff. So I think wide receiver one, he's locked up. Last thing I'll say about Diggs before getting out of here. Watching First Take, and Chris Canty was talking about it because, Diggs was a part of their rundown on the show. Chris Canty, Stephen A., and Molly, I believe, we're having a discussion about Diggs, the video. Is he a distraction? Buyer's remorse on the Patriots side, which I feel like the buyer's remorse part, I think I was watching Greg Bedard talk about. He talked to people in the building, and they were just like, He's on his free time. He's been keeping up with the team, blah, blah, blah. I think they're okay with it. I think the fact that he was on the practice field lets you know Vrabel's okay with it. Now, Vrabel may have talked to him and said, like, any more like this, and we'll cut you or something like that. I don't know if he said that, but that could have been the message. And Diggs showed up to show them that he's committed. All well and good. But Kenny was going down the line that because Diggs has been moving around recently, you have to wonder juice worth the squeeze with him with the video coming out. Once again, it's his off season. He can choose to spend it however he wants to. Probably should have maybe not with the substance or anything like that, but we haven't heard anything about anything happening to the women. We haven't heard about him taking any of it. So I think crisis averted there, even though a lot of people are like, oh, could the Patriots cut him? I don't think that was ever on the table necessarily with what we saw in the video and what we kind of heard about the video. If anything else happened, then maybe. But once again, Chris Canty was trying to make it seem like, Diggs is a distraction. That's why he's not in Buffalo. That's why he's not in Houston. That's why he's not in Minnesota anymore. And Stephen A., to his credit, did kind of let him know that the Minnesota thing was Minnesota's turning their offense to Thielen. Diggs wasn't happy with that. Buffalo, it was a money thing. In Houston, he got hurt. Plain and simple. So I don't know what Chris Canty was trying to create, but Stephen A. was quick to squash all that. But then the part that Chris Canty really got me on was he equated Diggs with his boat scandal, quote unquote, to Odell Beckham Jr. If you don't remember that one, Odell with the Giants, they make the playoffs, have a game against the Packers. I think it was on a Sunday, and the Saturday, the day before, Odell, a couple of teammates, I think Trey Songz was on there or something like that, were spotted on a boat, shirtless, hanging out. Which, once again, I don't even know if that's that big of a deal. But then you fast forward to the day after, they lose the playoff game, the boat thing becomes a whole big story. I only went through that to let you know that the key point is Odell Beckham was in January, the day before a playoff game against the Green Bay Packers. Stefon Diggs was the end of May in the offseason. I don't know how he tried to bridge those two together, but he really tried that on national TV. That's crazy to me. But that's Chris Canty for you. And that's ESPN. It is what it is. So I guess to wind this all up, the optimism for me for this Patriots season is still through the roof. I want to see, no shot at Gerard Mayo because I understood why they kind of went to him last season. But the way the season played out, he wasn't ready for that role, and the team wasn't ready to play an NFL season last year. You saw that week in and week out. I don't think we're going to have that issue this year. Vrabel's been through it. Vrabel's been successful in this league. Josh McDaniels as an offensive coordinator, been successful in this league. Terrell Williams as a defensive guy has been successful. He's never been a defensive coordinator, but he's been successful, which, hopefully he can come back from his health issue and, be healthy this year, obviously. So I just think that this is just another check mark of getting through OTAs before we get to the season, that I think this team will obviously, depending on how you feel about win-wise based on their schedule, they're going to be a more prepared team week in and week out. And I feel like after the last couple of seasons, that in itself is a win. So you let me know what you thought about the OTAs. Let me know what you thought about the Diggs video that you did see with him, cutting and going kind of full speed out there. And what are your thoughts? And also, I did do a blog article, whatever you want to call it, on the Patriots season, breaking down their schedule, giving some thoughts. and doing a way too early bold prediction. I would love to know what you thought about that. The link to it will be in the description below. And leave a comment on, kind of your thoughts on the season as well. You can do it under this video as well. But yeah, go check that out. Greatly appreciate it. Link to the Discord will also be in the description if you want to talk some more sports with me when I'm obviously not doing these videos or on a live. Feel free to join up there. Let's have some good conversations. That link will be in the description as well. So that's it for me on this one. Appreciate you for tuning in. Be safe. God bless. And I'll see you next time. All right. Bye.